Welcome to the Spotlight segment. This is a segment dedicated to interviews with developers or interesting happenings in the world of Android. And now for this week's episode, here's your Spotlight. Let's now turn on to our theme of the week. And of course, we're talking about that Navis. And we got William here with us. William, welcome again. And even though the weather's bad out there, we're glad you're home and able to talk to us. Let's get started about Touchpulse as a company, and then we'll talk about Navis and what you guys do and all of that stuff. Give us a little bit of history before we get into Navis.
For sure. So we are founded in the city of Eindhoven, which is in the south of the Netherlands. And we came from the university there, the University of Technology of Eindhoven. And Liam and myself, we both studied there. I studied computer science. Liam, my co-founder, for those listening, he studied innovation science. And we together started with a different product than what we've built now, which is a wearable device which goes on your lower arm and is able to vibrate on your arm in patterns. And it would be able to convey information like spoken language, or for visually impaired market, it could have sent the facial expressions of people you might be talking to. We tried selling that product first, and after we found out that it was too expensive, difficult to charge, and didn't really solve a major problem. You can hear that I'm pretty happy right now because of how I'm talking, so you don't really need to see me. And then we pivoted. So we talked to the people we were already talking to about the sleeve, so it was called. And we asked them, hey, if this is not your problem, then what is? And we figured quite quickly that navigation, and then specifically outdoor navigation, was one of the major challenges that was still unsolved. And at the time that we started doing this, which is now February of 2024, about 3 years ago now, I think. Yeah, 2 years almost.
Not quite two, almost two, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Almost 2 years since we officially incorporated. We were already doing things before then. But that was when we really made that pivot to outdoor navigation, because then AI was starting to become mainstream, and AI is specifically what's necessary to be able to translate that outside world. So yeah, my personal story in that is that I'm really interested in learning new skills in the computer science field and being able to actually apply those skills. Something that I found was very lacking at the university, where they really teach you how to use your skills, or really teach you the skills themselves, not what you can use them for. So then when I started with Touchpulse and with Liam and talking to all these people, I saw what my work could mean. And that's what I'm now trying to get into practice with Navis.
You know, it's really interesting when someone sighted does something like this, because it's not oftentimes that people think about us. I'm talking about us blind people. And it's so neat to see young people like you thinking of us and wanting to do something, make a change, bring about something good that is useful to us. Because navigation, to be honest with you, William, is one of those things that we still struggle with. A lot of us still struggle with. Yes, indeed. We have GPS apps that oftentimes is not often significant or life-changing enough, so to speak. There's always a shortcoming here, or, there's a problem here. And you still find us in 2025, 2026, still talking about what would be the best navigational app for the blind, and people are complaining about this not working and that not working. And so to see you guys come on to the scene and talk about this, because I know earlier on in October, when we first had Liam come to us via our last open listener session and developer session, he was there from Touchpulse. I reached out to him, and I was glad that he was able to come. And so that was our introduction to the app, although he said it wasn't quite ready and would be ready in January of 2026. And true to your word, guys, here we are talking today about the app. And so let's talk about the app, which is Navis, Navis. Let's talk about the name first. What does it mean? Is there any special meaning to it, or is it an abbreviation of some sort, or is it just what you see? What's behind Navis, the name Navis?
So Nav and Viz come together into Navis for navigation and visual impairment. So that's where it originally came from. We're not quite sure if the name will stick. There's a few other companies that have similar names, so all of the domain names have been taken already. But we'll see. We'll see what it does. I think it's quite catchy and quite closely related to what it's actually trying to do, which is helping you navigate by guiding you visually.
That sounds very good. So maybe if you're going to be changing the name, or if you're thinking down the line of changing the name, I think the Navis is still good for me, unless, of course, you guys think that, yeah, we want to change the name into something else. Maybe you could be open to listeners suggesting names for the app. Is that something you guys would be willing to do? Maybe get suggestions from users, maybe change it to this or that?
Yeah, of course. More inspiration, of course.
Wonderful. I personally like Navis because it reminds me of navigation. Navigate. Here it is. So Navis it is. So let's talk about the app. It's for navigation, and I was gonna do a little bit of a demonstration because we usually demonstrate this app as an app of the week. I didn't get to it. Usually, I would like to take it out so I could report on it, but weather-wise, it wasn't convenient to take it out. So we're just going to talk about what it can do and what it cannot do. How about you tell us what it can do or what is not quite there, because I know it's just coming onto the scene. It's something that is probably still in beta, really, right? So let's talk about the capabilities and things that yet need to be worked on before we get any questions from the crew.
Okay, so the problem at the end of the tunnel that Navis is trying to solve is full end-to-end navigation. So that's from the front door of your house all the way to the front door of your destination, exactly at the door. And we've figured out many issues along the way. And let's start at the very beginning of your route. You're outside of your front door, maybe still inside, and you want to plan your route. Google Maps and Apple Maps are the primary apps that are currently being used, and it's very difficult to find the right destination, and it's fairly difficult to store multiple destinations. So you can store your house and your work address, and that's kind of where that ends. So we've already immediately opened up the ability to save as many addresses under any name that you want, also using like your current location, so you don't even have to type in your home address anymore. All right, let's say that you want to go to a supermarket nearby, and you plan it in. And then you have to figure out the right way. Is that left on the street, right on the street, or the street's facing straight ahead? And that's a problem that's very difficult to solve with the compass and or GPS, because there's no highly accurate GPS and GPS receivers in your phone. So what we developed is a system that uses the camera of your device to be able to guide you with clockwise directions. So you pick up your phone, point it forward as if it's making a photo, and it tells you maybe 3 o'clock, which would mean to the right, or to the right if that's how you configured it in the settings. So that's it's also for people with difficulties there. And then you will be able to rotate your phone around. It will vibrate or make a sound effect, all configurable in the app to whatever preference you have. And then you know which way to go. And from there, it starts guiding you with normal navigation. But maybe you already have a question about that.
So, for example, I'm getting from my front door, I always use my post office here in my little town, for example, and I want to navigate to it. So I put in the address, the destination, or I think it also support voice queries, right? Does it support voice queries? I don't remember. I looked at it quick, but so let's say I type in my address that I want to navigate to, for example, 202 East Seattle Avenue here in Murphy, Washington, for example. And so I'll get to the sidewalk in front of my house. And at that point, does it then interact, open up my camera and show me which way I need to turn? And if it tells me which way I need to turn, do I need to then keep my phone on for the duration of the trip, or how does that work?
So quite a few questions there, Warren. Let me start with the planning of the route. So you can, like you said, you can type it in if you want. You can also use the transcription of Android or iOS to type it into the text box by voice, or you can call our AI assistant, and then you can have a more natural conversation about planning your route. And then it will also verbally narrate the destination options that you have, and you can pick it, and it will select one from you. The AI is still heavily under development, but I think we've got this down now pretty good. But if something doesn't go well, we'll be able to make that better in the future, of course. And then to your second question, so you open up your camera, and the camera is really able to get you to the right heading at the beginning. But if you go to the end of your street and then have to turn left, you can just listen to the instruction for that. So you don't need to hold your phone open all the time. And of course, the system also always indicates when the camera is actually active, so that it makes sure that there's no camera footage being used when you don't want it. So you can also configure this system to be never automatically enabled or never to enable at all. And you can configure how it exactly guides you by the clock hours or by the directions. And also you can configure whether it guides you back to your route if you head off the route on accident during the navigation automatically.
That's really neat. I forgot about that assistant AI. I was playing with that, and that was really neat. I like the voice, by the way. I had no clue which one it was using, but it was nice and clear. Like I said, I intended, though, to take it out, but just weather kind of bit me to it, so I wasn't able to. And so, yeah, I think it's really nice, though, that once you get that direction set, you don't have to leave the camera on, and you could put the phone away, because I think probably one of those biggest problems for me with camera navigation, for example, if I was to have my camera on all the time while I navigate, I'm always kind of thinking about other folks in other places. I live in a little small town, William, and I'm thinking of folks in big cities, for example, someone in LA or in Chicago, New York, Seattle, or whatever. You don't want your phone getting snatched from you by some rock out there. So that's the only problem I always think of, when navigating with a camera on all the time. And so I think it was brilliant for you guys to do what you do, start it at the earliest point so that it has all the bearings, so you know where to turn, and you can put your phone away. I think that solves that problem there. Now, on the other hand, I could simply type in, like you said, I could type using my native typing in there, or use the assistant to ask it. And I tried asking the assistant, and like I said, it was really nice, and hearing what it was saying, that was really good. Now, so for example, I have that camera on originally, and I got my bearing as to where to go and all of that. So does it, as I navigate, for example, maybe I mistakenly turn to a wrong, I took a wrong route, as sometimes some of us do for some reason. Would it be able to tell me, hey, you're going the wrong way, and correct me? Or at that point, I need to bring up the phone again and have the camera reorient the navigation?
That's right. So we support automatic enabling of the checkpoint system, is how we call it, because that's really what it's like. It's plotting out points on your route, and then it's taking you to that point by guiding you with the camera direction. And if you go off of your route, it places a checkpoint at the closest place to you that is on the route still. And then when you, so let's say you put your phone in your pocket, the screen is off, and then you go off the route, and okay, if I take out my phone within a reasonable amount of time, so that you can take out your phone on time, no rush there. It's like 30 seconds or so for it to automatically enable. And you open up your phone, open the Navis app, and right away it will take out that checkpoint system for you again and tell you which way to head. And then the moment you know which way you have to head into, you can put your phone back into your pocket, get back onto the route, and then continue with the live voice guidance. That's right.
But it would let me know, though, that I had turned the wrong direction, or it wouldn't?
Yes, it would. So it would tell you you're off the route. We're still thinking about the best way to do this user experience, because the off-route detection algorithms we are using are becoming better and better. So we might be able to silently reroute you, so that if you make a mistake, you don't even notice. And we just guide you onto a different route if that's still fast. And otherwise, we'll help you turn around. Exactly.
Okay, so I know that it's now available now, though, for everyone, right? It's still in public beta, right? Is that what it is? Or is
Yeah.
this release of the app?
So it's on the App Store and the Play Store, and it is not really marked as a beta anymore. But once you open the app, you'll notice straight away that there is still a beta agreement. So once we get into a production version where we can kind of guarantee that you'll be able to get to your destination safely with our support, that's when we will be able to make it a full release. And to be able to get there, there's still quite a few hurdles. You asked me what's still not possible with Navis. And the few things that we think are really necessary to get to that stage are two things. The first one is that we provide you navigation by the side of the road you're on. So right now, we still rely on Google Maps as a route provider. And Google Maps puts the route line, in the middle of the street. And our system is now so accurate with the checkpoint system that if you were to follow it perfectly, it would put you on the middle of the street. So we adjusted that by trying to get it to rotate you at least like in the right street direction, and then it's your own responsibility to stay on the sidewalk, but that's not sustainable. In the long term, we want to be able to provide you guidance by telling you exactly what kind of crossing you're going to get. So let's say you're at a X intersection between two big roads with a traffic light in all directions. Then we would be able to tell you, okay, you're going to go turn left, and you're going to do that by crossing straight first and then to the left at the traffic light. Both sides are 2 lanes, and there's a median in between, and the traffic light button is on the right side of the sidewalk that you're walking on right now. And then that way we can really provide that in-depth navigation, but that's not possible yet.
That's really nice if you guys are able to accomplish that. And another thing that I'm thinking about as you mentioned this is streets. Sometimes you come across a street that dead ends, doesn't go through, and it would be nice to see if that has the support to let you know that X street only goes one way, dies here, doesn't go through. For example, I have a few of those in my neighborhood, for example. Right off the bat here, I got 2 right from my house that don't go through. So if you're navigating, going on that, it just dies there. And the street I live on also died down the street as well. So it's nice to know things of that nature, and I'm glad you guys are going to be looking into that, and most especially that light when one comes across a traffic light where to cross and all of that, or letting you know where the crossing is, or whatever the case may be. I think that's a good process that we don't have. I don't think we have any app out there that does that for us, and it's really innovative of you guys to be thinking along those lines, because that's important. Sometimes not all of us have that spatial awareness, and to be able to accomplish this, that would be monumental.
Makes sense. So that was the first of 2 things, and we are trying to get that as highly accurate as possible, so we can really, so you can stay within the Navis app and get all of the support you need during your route. So for example, there's an app called OCO. I think it's now paid in the United States, and it's to help you find out whether the traffic light is green. And it makes a lot of sense to integrate that into our system, because we can automatically enable that when we know that you're about to approach a traffic light. And so small support systems like that are really key to be able to do end-to-end navigation from your door to the destination. But this is all kind of assuming that things go right. So we can give you the necessary information to stay safe. But of course, that's not really sustainable, because there are always edge cases that we haven't thought of, because there are so many different kinds of streets and obstacles and other points of interest information, or reasons that our system doesn't exactly perform well, like urban canyoning, which is the term for when your GPS signal becomes really poor when you're next to big, tall buildings. And of course, we can make that better with algorithms and fancy programming, but it's not foolproof. And to be able to address that in the long term, we want to do a human-based support system where directly from the Navis app, you can call a human support person that has your route in front of them with your information, so they can rapidly, privately, securely guide you and make sure that you can stay safe and connected during your navigation, even when you are in a situation that Navis could not automatically handle. And then in the long term, we'll use that to improve the system, of course, because every time that you have to have somebody else help you, that was our automatic system not helping you enough, and then we can make that better in the long term.
Nice. Those sound like some great improvements. I have a question about connectivity. If, let's say you've already planned your route And is there is the map data temporarily stored on your device? Do you need a data connection for the entire time you're going through the route, or is it only dependent on your GPS signal?
So you've hit a very key pain point, and to be able to provide most of these support layers, especially of course the human's fallback support, to be able to call somebody, we do need a stable internet connection. In the longer term, we expect to be able to get to like less stable internet connections so that you can still get most of the support or all of the support when your internet connection isn't fantastic. But it does remain an issue, and we are thinking about ways to solve that. For example, by indeed copying part of or all of the navigation onto the device so that just in case it doesn't go well, for example, the checkpoint system you might be able to use on your device fully offline. Not yet, but maybe in the future that's something we can support. Yeah.
Okay.
But for now, especially in Europe and the United States, the coverage of 4 and 5G cell towers is so immense. I believe in the Netherlands we have 99.9% coverage, and the rest of it is mostly on the islands. So in the Netherlands, we don't expect to have many or any internet outages for any location where you might want to travel. So since our supported system is primarily useful in urban environments with a lot of complex situations and environments, that's where the internet connection will also be very reliable most of the time.
Yeah, exactly. If you're in a rural area, you're probably not going to be walking from place to place. So yeah, that makes sense.
Now, William, talking about rural areas that John just mentioned, for example, I'm in a little town here. My thinking is that, and I've always wanted to see this with every navigational app. For example, I want to be able to kind of like, in other words, drop some breadcrumbs on my route. So I want to just walk to the orchard near my house and be able to come back through, the markings that I've dropped to be able to get back home. Would that be something you guys could look into? Because like I said, sometimes you happen to be in an area or, country area where it's not very good, navigation wise and all of that. And it would be nice to see that I could just mark my trail as I go, so to speak. And then I want to go back, say, take me back to where I started. That would be really nice.
So in our list of features, this is one of the things we've indeed written down, and have the abilities to put your own GPX points or upload a GPX trace from another app to be able to load that into the navigation system. There are quite a few technical hurdles there. And for now, we see the primary value of navigation being going somewhere. But in the future, we want to indeed add something more akin of leisurely walking, breadcrumbs, something like all trails, where you have specific walking routes already made for you that were made by tour guides, for example. So you can follow those as well. Also through routes that are not marked by Google Maps or other map providers. And on top of that, which makes, I think, then a lot of sense, if you're already walking to have fun, why not do that in places you don't know yet? Why not have a built-in tour guide into Navis? There's no limitation there. We have the necessary data to be able to guide you from Wikipedia or from other sources. And we have the AI assistant that already has access to your navigation. So why not combine those two and give you a, built-in tour guide into your navigation system?
While playing with the app, I noticed a tab in there or a button there for accessibility. Maybe I'm confusing it with another app, but I'm almost positive there's something that talks about accessibility. I tapped on that. I can see a little bit, and I noticed that it has like the map, the accessible map. I think that's what it says. And you could see that it has like yellow tracings instead and all of that. So maybe because this is visual, I'm just and it makes it larger than what it is. If it could just be renamed to like maybe low vision something instead of accessible map or something, because if I tap on that, someone who does not see at all, it's not going to be of any use to them. So I was just thinking about that when I looked at that.
Yeah, you're right. And if you indicate in the demographics page that you are fully blind, then that button isn't there anymore. But it's a good idea. So I'll rename it to low vision. Yes.
Yeah, or maybe high contrast or something like
High
that.
contrast, also a good
Yeah.
idea. And another
Yeah.
feature we got requested is instead of putting a map, is just putting a big arrow pointing in the direction you need to go. We're still thinking about whether that's technically feasible because of the compass, again, not being very accurate, but maybe together with checkpoints or on a best guess basis, we can indeed put a compass in there as well.
William, let's talk about availability. Where is this available? Is it available only in Europe and the States? Or where else is it available? Or is it available to anyone, everyone out there in this big world, now shrinking and becoming such a small world, as long as they have internet connectivity?
Yeah, that's right. As long as you have internet connectivity, the app is available everywhere. We have not put any geofences or blockers on any region. I think when we add the human fallback support, we will have to be a little bit more careful with that because we cannot provide 24/7 coverage in all languages of the world just yet. That will take quite a bit of time to grow to that scale. But within Europe and within the United States, we think we can achieve like daytime or daylight coverage pretty accurately.
With the human support, for example, I'm thinking this may have to be like a voluntary thing where people volunteer, just like we have in the Be My Eyes app, for example. Would that be something that you guys would be looking at? Because I'm thinking if you don't, that would be cost prohibitive.
So that's a good point. And right now we're planning on, and I can't fully guarantee this just yet, it depends on a few other contingencies. We want to keep the app completely free for everybody forever, but the human support system, we think it makes it is not a good idea to do that on a voluntary basis. And that's for the reason that open like orientation and mobility support requires specific training, and we want to be able to guarantee that you have a qualified person to support you during your navigation. And because we build so much tooling and might do experimentation with that tooling, and we also want to get back the feedback from these assistants, these operators, to be able to improve our system, we think it's a better idea to keep that in-house for the time being.
That totally makes sense to me because, like you say, though, it requires someone who knows what they're talking about. So it really makes sense. You don't want to just give this out to someone who's not very familiar with navigation or orientation, mobility, and all of that. It could become a problem. So I could see where that is coming from. It totally makes sense to me.
So maybe you know the company called IRA. They do human assistance, and it's paid per minute. We will most likely go in a similar direction for the specific purpose of navigation, to be able to guide you in the moments that goes really wrong, because then we have immediately the tooling available. We'll probably offer some free minutes, especially during the early stages, to make sure the system is fully stable before we start rolling it out worldwide. But yeah, that's probably the direction that we'll head into with that. And what we're trying to do is to partner with local businesses for providing free support for people that want to go to those businesses. So think supermarkets and being able to find your products in those supermarkets. We might then partner up with those supermarkets to be able to give our AI and our human supporters the layout of the supermarket to be able to guide you through the supermarket with the camera or something akin to that. But that can extend to many different businesses. So we'll still see how that all pans out. But we're well on track to be able to achieve that.
Let's talk about something mundane, and I'm talking about voices here. I like the voice that I was hearing, especially when I was chatting with that assistant. These voices, could one choose something different? I didn't get to play with it as I ought to. Usually these are things that I go into as I demonstrated. I think I'm going to demonstrate it for next week as an app of the week. But I didn't get to it. Could one choose a different voice, for example? I know it's not very important, but is there a possibility for me to say, hey, I want to choose this other voice instead, maybe like a female voice that is there. I want to choose a male voice. I want to choose a different female voice or a different male voice, for example. Or in other words, could I choose a local voice TTS on my phone, for example? Say someone, knucklehead like me, not that I really wouldn't want to use my Google TTS, but for example, I'm using that. I say, as an example, let's say I want to choose my Google TTS for that navigation, or maybe the a cappella voice for my navigation. Is that something that one could do, or something you guys could implement later for people to choose what voice they would rather want to use?
Yep, it's in our idea list, just like many other things, so it's difficult to prioritize. But there's technically nothing stopping us from doing that. The provider we're using for the navigation voice, which you say you like, it has many different voices available, so we can provide access to choose one of those based off of what your preferences are. Different kinds of accents in the United States, different genders, and then also within Europe, there are many languages that we need to support, and for all of those, there are multiple languages available, or multiple voices available rather. And being able to adjust, for example, the speed, the rate of speech, and the intonation, perhaps. But what's already in the app now is that you can customize the prompt that we give to the navigation agent, so that you can change the way that it's saying things to you. You can do that from the settings. You do have to log in for that one, but you can then change, for example, I want you to give me all of my navigation instructions in a pirate tone of voice. And while the tone of voice isn't quite there yet, the pirate language will be.
Yeah, I saw that pirate thing, and I'm like, wow, I'm going to be looking for the pirate. That's so beautiful. And to be able to choose different voice, maybe use this voice for this and use this other voice for this, I think that's really good.
Well, for me, the biggest trouble is like navigating in a really, really busy environment when there are a lot of things, and when GPS is confusing in a short range, like when there are too many shops, for example, and GPS is showing you one, and then when you see the another, and you're going to another one because GPS is showing, okay, this is the shop that we should go.
Yeah, so this is indeed a difficult one, where if you want to hand off between outdoor and indoor navigation, we're currently mostly focused on the outdoor, but we have a good partner that wants to do indoor with us. And what we would then do is make sure that the destination you're going to is the one that we stay with. So even if your GPS says that you're 3 buildings down, we won't trust that signal then, because we know where you were before, and you can't just teleport, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
So yeah, I just have one question. It's just a small question. What is the maps provider that you're using in the app?
The route provider is currently Google Maps. We have another provider in the Netherlands. They're called Magic Lane, and they provide better routes, but still not at the quality that we want. So in the future, we will make our own routing provider.
Yeah, it's good that you're using Google Maps, because this should work here reliably. I think I haven't tested the app, to be honest, but well, many apps use the OpenStreetMaps. What Google Maps usually here is better. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course. We use so Magic Lane based their routing system on OpenStreetMaps. We primarily rely on Magic Lane because the detection of non-road routes is much better in the Netherlands and in Europe. I'm not sure exactly about the United States, but I'm sure I'll hear more about that from user feedback and by analyzing the data that we collect. That's a good question.
Well, William, this has been great. I know we've taken a little bit of time, but I'm so excited that you guys were able to come, or you are able to come today. Say hello to Liam, and next time when he comes, because we're going to be having our first open session quarter for this year on January the 31st. That would be the last Saturday of this month. And would like you guys to come, because we often would have other listeners come in and would like to ask you questions and things like that. So I'm sure you would be with us, and then drag Liam in here as well, so that we'll give him a bad time. But we want to thank you so much for coming on. It's been very informative, and most especially some of the things that you guys are planning on doing, because like we said, when it comes to navigation, we still have a little bit of challenges and all of that. And it's nice that you guys are looking into these things and trying to figure out ways of overcoming these type of challenges. We're so thankful that you are thinking along those ways. those lines. So how do people get hold of you? Can they just get hold of you through the app itself, like where when one goes to, say, the Play Store, for example, there's that contact us, they could get hold of you there? Or is there a website also that people can get hold of you through?
So thank you very much for having me, of course. To contact us, you can do that from the app if you have specific feedback. We have a button in the account page where it will add all of the necessary data from your session, so we can look at any data that you generated to be able to identify bugs or otherwise. But you can also email to feedback@touchpulse.nl, and you can of course also go to our website touchpulse.nl. I think we're expanding the domain names we have, but touchpulse.nl will definitely work. And if you have any personal questions, sending an email to info@touchpulse.nl will also end up with me. So feel free to reach out.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And just promise us though you're going to come back when I reach out to you guys. Hey, it's time to come back and talk about Navis. And most importantly, like I said, the last Saturday of this month, my man, is going to be the day that, we shine the spotlight on you guys and other developers as well.
Okay, I'll do my best to be there. It's a busy month. Let's see if we can make it.
Okay, sounds good. As long as you don't get stranded at home, and if you're stranded at home, probably that may even be better because then it'll make it easier for you to be on here.